Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Vampire Zombie World deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one, guys, because you guys requested this one like crazy on the previous Vampire build, and I am really excited to bring this one to you guys because this deck is absolutely insane in what it can do. Being able to summon out your Vampire Voivode and be able to take zombies from your opponent's graveyard when they're transformed into zombies by your copy of Zombie World is absolutely crazy, and incorporating Baller Drop into this deck is really, really good. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your names through every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test hands. And without further ado, guys, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Vampire Voivode, just like last time. This card is still pretty good. It's a little bit better in this build because you can basically take zombies out of your opponent's graveyard, because what it does is if this card is normal summoned, you can target up to 2 monsters in your opponent's graveyard and special summon those targets to your field in defense position, but their effects are negated. And when a monster effect is activated while a monster with the same name is in the graveyard, you get to quick effect and negate the activation. And if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's graveyard, then you get to special summon. You can tribute 2 monsters to special summon this card from your graveyard, which is a very, very nice effect, just to be able to get you an additional Voivode on your side of the field to get you all sorts of crazy cool plays. We then play 3 copies of Vampire Scarlet Scourge. Vampire Scarlet Scourge is really good in this build too, because when this card is normal or special summon, you just pay 1,000 life, and then target a vampire monster in your graveyard and special summon it back to your field, but it can't attack this turn. And you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. And at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed a monster at battle, you can special summon that monster from your graveyard to your field, which is a fantastic effect. We then play a single copy of Frolin. Frolin is good in every zombie deck, and is especially good in this deck, because when a zombie monster, or when any monster declares an attack, you can instantly special summon this card from your hand and defense position. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn, and then once per turn, when a zombie monster battles an opponent's monster, you can pay life points in increments of 100 all the way up to 3,000, and then your monster gains the attack and the equal amounts that you paid, which is really, really good to be able to like gain the attack in defense of that, of whatever you pay into the zombie, is just really, really good. We then play a single copy of Vampire Sorcerer. I actually play 1 Vampire Sorcerer in this build instead of 3 in the previous build, because it still has the really good effect that you can banish this card from your graveyard to normal summon a dark vampire monster this turn without tributing, which is really good for Voivode to be able to normal summon it without tributing, but you have plenty of ways to send it to the graveyard in this build, so I'm not super worried about just playing 1 copy of it, because I usually only normal summon Voivode once, and once I normal summon this card and summon Vampire Sheridan, I'm gonna be probably fine, especially backed up with a Baller Drive. So you only play the 1 copy of it, it's still really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Vampire Retainer. Vampire Retainer has a really good effect that if this card is special summoned, you can pay 500 life points to add a vampire spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can send a vampire card from your hand or face in your field to the grave to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. And then you play 3 copies of Vampire Familiar that does the exact same thing, except you get to add a vampire monster from your deck to your hand, opposed to adding a vampire spell or trap. So this card is really good for the deck as well, and I really like the way that this deck plays with the copy of my Zombie World. So for the other cards that we're playing that are zombies, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Unizombie. The Unizombies are really good in this deck because the Unizombies are the base playmaker of the entire deck. Now what this card does is you can target 1 face-up zombie you control, discard a card from your hand, and then increase that monster's level by 1. And also, you can send a monster or send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard to increase the zombie's level by 1 on your field as well, which is a really, really good effect. We then play 2 copies of Shiranui Solitaire, which you contribute to special summon out your copies of your Unizombies from your deck, and then 2 copies of Mizuki, because you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon an additional zombie from the graveyard. We then play 2 copies of Doom King Baller Draught. Doom King Baller Draught is really, really good in this deck, because if there is a face-up field spell on the field, then you can special summon this card from the graveyard, and it also has 2 effects that are really good. They can activate once per chain. When a zombie monster effect, except for Doom King Baller Draught, activates, you can either quick effect apply one of these effects to either negate the effect or banish a monster from the field or graveyard, and it doesn't target, which is really, really good. We then play a single copy of Jacobolin. Jacobolin is pretty good too, because you can discard a card or discard a monster to special summon this card from your hand, and during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in either player's graveyard, special summon it to your field, and then banish this face-up card until the end phase of the turn, which is pretty good for this deck. We then play a single copy of Necro World Banshee. Necro World Banshee is really good because it can get your copy of your zombie world to your field extremely quickly. And then 2 copies of Glow Bloom to round out the monsters, because Glow Bloom is really good in this deck because it can get out your copy of Scarlet Scourge, it can get out your copy of Doom King Baller Trot, it can get out your copy of Frolin, you can get out anything that you need in this deck, and it's just ridiculously good because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. But if you have Zombie World on the field, then you can use the effect that this card special summons the zombie instead of sending it to the graveyard. So that's it for the monsters, guys. I will mention you too, you can drop 1 Mizuki if you want to for a Gozuki. The deck is very tight as it is. It's actually a 41 card deck, but you can drop a copy of the Mizuki for a copy of Gozuki if you want to go that route as well, because you really only use 1 copy of it all the time, but it's there just in case you need it. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So it wouldn't be a zombie deck with Zombie World without playing 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is arguably the best card in the entire deck because this card can let you fusion summon your opponent's monsters away to summon out your copy of Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon to your side of the field if you control the infamous Zombie World. So Zombie World is really good in this deck because Zombie World has the ability that makes all monsters on the field zombie and neither player contributes summon monsters except for zombies. This deck essentially shuts down monarchs except for their Erebus plays and is just a really, really good card because when you pop it on the field, everything in the field in the graveyard becomes zombie, which means Super Poly turns on and lets you fusion summon into monsters that are zombies in your extra deck using your opponent's monsters. We then play 2 copies of Vampire Desires, which lets you level manipulate a little bit because it lets you target a face-up monster you control, send a vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different level from that monster, and if you do, the targeted monster becomes a level of the sent monster in the graveyard until the end of the turn, and also has the ability that you can target a vampire monster in the grave to send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster in the grave. We then play 3 copies of Vampire Domain, which gives us an additional normal summon of a vampire at the cost of 500, and also it has the ability that each time your vampire monster inflicts damage to your opponent, you get to gain life equal to the damage they took off your vampire monster, which is awesome. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're only going to be playing 4 in the deck, and that is 2 copies of Vampire Awakening and 2 copies of Vampire Domain. These are pretty much all you need in the deck. Basically, this special summons a vampire from the deck for free, and then Domain is an Infernity Barrier that if you control a face-up vampire monster, you negate the effect of a spell, trap, or monster, and if it was a monster, you gain the attack equal to the amount. You gain life points equal to the attack of the monster, which is a really, really good effect on the Vampire Domain. And then you basically also get the negation, which is insanely good. They're both searchable and both very good cards. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. Now, I will mention you guys, the extra deck is very, very, very tight, but there are just maybe 1 spot in here that you can vary it up a little bit if you want to. But for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Vampire Sucker. This card is insanely good. Sometimes you need the suck, so we play it at 2. So you can extra get it. But what this card does is it takes 2 zombie monsters, and if you attribute summon a monster, which makes the new vampire card so good in this deck, is because of this card. What this card does is if you attribute summon a monster that's a zombie monster, for a tribute summon, you can tribute zombie monsters, not 1 monster, but 2 monsters that your opponent controls. Like, count them 2, because it says monsters that your opponent controls as if you controlled them. And then you can only use the effect of this card once per turn to either target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon to your opponent's field in defense position, but it becomes a zombie monster. And if a zombie monster is special summoned from either player's graveyard, you draw a card. This card is the best card in the entire extra deck to be able to summon to your field because the new vampire monster is just so good with this. We then play a single copy of Needle Fiber because it might as well be a zombie monster. It helps you get out your copy of your Unizombie and Glow Up Bloom out really, really easily. 1 copy of Anaconda because it gets you into your copy of Super Poly really fast. 1 copy of Link Rebo because the Link Rebo is also really good in here to go with your copy of your Glow Up Bloom because you can link it away for this and then immediately go for an additional play to get your baller drawed out. We play a single copy of Borrelsword because I like to have a little bit of versatility in my extra deck to have a little bit of a punch. So the Borrelsword helps out a little bit. You can change this out if you want to for something else that you see that you really want to play, but I like playing the Borrelsword because it gives me a little extra oomph in the extra deck. We play a single copy of Beals because the Beals is just really good to help punch through fields. Play a single copy of Shiranui Shogun Saiga, because sometimes you will lock yourself into zombies and you need it, and it's really good because if this card is special summoned, you get to banish a zombie monster from your grave, and then this card gains attack equal to the banished monster, so it can get pretty big. It can go up to 2,800, which is, or not 2,800, but 5,800 if you banish the new zombie or the new vampire card. One copy of Borreload Savage, because you play all of these Link monsters, it's really easy to summon this card. Psyframe Lord Omega, because it can rip cards out of your opponent's hand, and it's good in every single zombie deck. One copy of Red Eye's Zombie Dragon, Necro Dragon. This card is ridiculous in this deck because basically what this card does is it gains 100 attack for each zombie monster on the field and in the graveyard, and when another zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon a zombie monster from either player's graveyard to your side of the field, which is really, really, really good. And with Zombie World, this card gets ridiculously big. We then play two copies, or a single copy of Dragon Necro Nethersoul. Dragon Necro Nethersoul does not destroy any monsters by battle. It gives you tokens of the monsters with attack equal to that monster's attack and reduces the opponent's monster to 0. So basically you get a token for free and then they take damage, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, because Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is just really good in this deck with Super Poly, because if you don't have Zombie World, you go for this. If you do have Zombie World, you go for that. And then we play two copies of the Vampire Sheridan, because Vampire Sheridan is ridiculously good in this deck with the new vampire monster, because basically these two are just like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together, because what they do is basically you'll normal summon out this, and then once you summon out this, it'll revive two monsters from your opponent's graveyard, put them on your field, and then you overlay them both into that, which is really good in this deck, especially this particular build. So that's pretty much it for this deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play with. I'm going to try and maybe do some live duels with this one. Tell me which version you would like to see me do live duels of. I actually am really excited to play with this deck because it's really fun to play with. And I actually really enjoy playing with vampires, because vampires are like one of my favorite variants of zombies, probably my favorite variant of zombies outside of the pure Zombie World version, because the pure Zombie World version is just really good. You can also include, if you want to, Rivalry of Warlords in here, but the deck was so tight that I just sided it and don't play it in the main. But you can drop a copy of Domain, Desires, and one of the new vampire monsters to play it if you want to go that route, or maybe a Scarlet Scourge instead. Side that out and play two Scarlet Scourge, one Desires, and one Domain in the main deck, and be able to play around with that. And it's really, really good. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Armed Duels. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.